Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon to all. How are you? Are you okay? Mic check, mic check. Are you guys okay?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Okay, sir.
okay, okay. So today we will continue. Actually, we will start our chapters for computer programming for this semester. Okay, so hopefully all of you are well. Some of you did message me mentioning that they got COVID and they don't feel that well. Hopefully all of you are well today. Okay, all of you, I think most of you are in the university, right? Are you guys in
Yes.
university or not? Okay, so
Yes,
you
sir.
guys are in university. Okay, good. Okay, so today, okay, I'm at my home, not in my office. Okay, I work from home today because my children uh, was a little bit occupied today. Okay, so let's start our class. Okay, for today, our chapter is chapter 1 and 2, which is Introduction to Computer Programming and Programming Language. So basically, I think some of you did has some background in programming before. Okay, some of you might even done Python before. And in case if that the case means that you are quite advanced for this class. This class is designated for those who are particularly basics, who haven't had any fundamental in programmings. Okay, so let's start the class. Okay, so for today's chapter, I think yes, okay. Okay, everything recording. Okay, then. Okay, for today's chapter, okay, the outcome is for you to know the basic information about computer programming and for you to get familiar with algorithms, pseudocode, and flowchart. And also for you to know about the computer programming language. So the outcome of this course, okay, is important for you to understand, okay, since it's a very fundamental of what programming language is. So if you know, okay, this one is a quote by Steve Jobs. Okay, everybody in this country should learn to program a computer because it teaches you how to think. Okay, so programming basically you cannot just learn by listening. You need to do it by yourself. Okay, it is not a thing to remember, it's a thing to practice. So it's like learning to play a piano. Okay, programming is also involve something like that. And to do the program, to do a program, you need to know how to think like a computer so that you can write a program which runnable by the computer itself. Okay, so programming is basically not a thing that you know, it's a thing that you can figure out. Okay, so you need to think. If you cannot think, you cannot do the program. So computer program, okay, also known as software, they are basically instruction to the computer. So programming actually they begin in 1940s, okay, using memory address and machine code directly. So at that time they were used particularly for war efforts, okay, to create codes, to encode codes and decode codes, probably like that. So older program they were monolithic and ran from beginning to an end. You cannot interrupt them. So once you run the program, you will get the result after the machine finish with the program. So unlike Python right now, you can stop in the middle, okay, check whether it's wrong or right or wrong, okay. So all programs were like that. They're more hardware oriented. So once they run the program, the hardware will keep on continuing doing the program until the program is finished. So this program, they are written using programming languages. Okay, so we have a lot of types of programming languages. Okay, I will introduce some later. And so some of the newer program contains modules that can be combined to form programs. So usually this is what we call object-oriented programming. Okay, you can just combine certain blocks, become a one whole program. So these kind of things are also available these days. So when we talk about programming language, we have three types of programming language. The first one is machine language. Second one is assembly language. And the third one is high level language. So the machine language is basically the binary, as you can see here, 10101010. And when you see about programming a binary is very difficult because it's hard for us to understand what it represents. So some of the good engineers before, they simplify the binaries to become assembly language. So for assembly language, most of them are created using hexadecimal, which one hexadecimal symbols represent 4 binary digits. Okay, so from there they can write the codes. Okay, they can simplify certain instruction, like for example addition operation to what kind of codes. So from assembly languages to make your life easier to program the codes, okay, they create a higher level language. Okay, so this high level language, okay, usually what we use right now, whether it's a Python, okay, older version like COBOL, Fortran, Basic, Pascal, Ada. I myself particularly I learned through my degree where I learned using C and C++ advanced. Okay, Python is quite a new language for me. Actually, I learned a few years back. Okay, I did Java as well before, a few years ago as well. Okay, so I think in the future, one of the most common programming language, if you talk about programming, okay, it might become Python. Okay, Python, because Python is not that difficult. It's easy to troubleshoot, is easy to explain to other people. Means you have your code, when you want to explain to other people, it's easy for you to explain when we have Python. Before this, we a Python like language, usually we do in MATLAB. If you're familiar with MATLAB, I think engineering you might use, some of you might use MATLAB later on. So MATLAB is also almost like Python. The language is almost like Python. However, you need to install MATLAB for it to run. But Python, you can just install Python. There's some kind like translator, interpreter that translate Python directly to codes, which open source and easy to use lah. Okay, so that's why we are using Python most of these days. Okay, if not, if you're in computer science, we will learn everything in C, which is much more difficult lah. Okay, so when you want to construct a program, okay, basically you need to understand three things. Okay, you need to understand three things. Okay, the first one is what we call a pseudocode. Okay, the algorithm, sorry, and then the second one is pseudocode, and the third one is flowchart. So what is algorithm basically? So algorithm is the list of instruction and rules that a computer needs to do to complete a task. Okay, so from algorithm, okay, we can construct pseudocode or flowchart or both. Okay, so pseudocode is almost like a program, but it's just like steps, calculation, a description of steps that you need to take for the algorithm to works. Okay, so means that before you write a program, you write the pseudocode first, and after you write the pseudocode, you can write your program. But to make things easier, okay, some of us who are usually visual learner, they prefer to write flowchart, which is easier for you to process, you understand the structure of your code. So flowchart is a diagram that depicts a process system or the computer algorithm itself. So given an example here, write an algorithm to calculate an area based on given width and length, and the area is width multiply length. So this is a task for you to write. Okay, write a program. So here you can see that how can you write an algorithm to calculate area from variable width and length. So basically, okay, it's a simple task. So when you write a pseudocode, you need to make sure that you know what is width and length first. So the user need to give an input to the computer, what is width and what is length. And from there, you calculate the area by multiplying the width and length. And at the end, after you got the result from the multiplication, you print out the result, which is you print out the area. Okay, display it to the user. Okay, so this is basically the pseudocode of what you want to do. So when we talk about program here, this one at the top is what we call input, where the user has to put in information. And then you have process, where the computer will calculate according to the information given. And also finally we have output, where the process is presented back to the user. The result of the process being represented back to the user. So this one an example of write an algorithm to determine a student's final grade and indicate whether it is passing or failing. The final grade is calculated based on the average of 4 marks. If the average below than 50, the grade is fail. Okay, so what kind of pseudocode should we create for this one? Okay, so you have input, where user enter the final grades of the students and then calculate the average. And then for the second step is check the student mark if lower or higher than 50. Okay, and then output, okay, which is whether it is fail or pass. Okay, so the output also part of the process. If in case it's less than 50, okay, it fail. If it's more than 50, it's pass. So next we are going to look at the flowchart. Okay, so here we have a task where you want to calculate the area based on given width and length. The area is width multiply length. So here you have start, okay, and then end. So in the middle you have enter with length, and then you have area, okay, with times length, and then you have print area that display the result of area, and then you have end. Okay, so this is the flowchart. So any flowchart that you do must start and end with an oval. Okay, so you have flowchart is a symbol. Okay, so oval must be used for start and end, and the middle you have parallelogram, maybe for input operation like this one. You have enter width and length is a part of input operation, so this one the shape is parallelogram. Okay, and then you have rectangle, which represent process that need to be done to the maybe variables, any variables inside. Okay, so here, for example, at the top here you have width time length. So this is count as a process. Okay. Next we have diamond. Okay, which a decision branching. So whether you want to make it flow downwards, left or right. Okay. So this one usually we do with a code with if then else. Okay. So here we don't have any diamond, but later on, okay, when around week 3 or 4, you will get to see the diamond part, which is quite common in your course later on in the future. And finally, we have another parallelogram. Okay, denotes an output operation, same thing as input. Okay, we use the same box, the same shape for it. Okay, connecting all these boxes, okay, we have the flow line. So all boxes must be connected together with the arrow. Okay, if you don't have the arrow connected to all box, okay, means that your program, you have something wrong with it. And in case you are connecting it, and all those boxes must somehow find a way from start to the end. Okay, so it must have an oval start. It can find a way from for it to start, and it must find a way for it to end. Okay, if it doesn't, means that it can connect to other boxes as well lah. Okay. So for computer programming language, okay, in this case, in our class, we are going to use Python, which using the Tony IDE. And in Tony IDE, we have three types of area. Okay, we have script, okay, where you want to write your codes. Okay, let's just open Tony here. Okay, so here is your Tony. So you have three area. The first one here is what we call the script. Okay, where you have the codes, and then down here you have your shell. This one give you the result of you when you write the codes, and on the right side is what we call variable. So this one is for you to view the variables that you have put, you have inserted inside your codes, and what is the value of the variable itself. So as you can see here, okay, you have the Python script. Okay, then you have the shell and you have the variable. So when you want to create a program, basically you have here is four step for you to do. So the first step is you need to create new file. Click file, name your file. Okay, then save it first, and then you can write your code in the script. Okay, after you write your code, you can save or Control S to save the file. Okay, and then you have, and then you click run. Okay, in the green button here. So if you look at Tony, okay, in case let's just do something, print hello. Okay, so I've done this. Okay, I'll save. Okay, save with name anything. Okay, and I've saved. Okay, once I save, I change the name here. So once you run it, you get the answer hello here down here. Okay, so this is how you use Tony. Okay, so the output is being shown here in the shell. Okay, so now, okay, for your exercise, let's create a computer program for this one. Okay, you have the pseudocode. Oh, sorry. You have the pseudocode, and how do you create a program for this? So let's try and do it together. Okay, let's try and do it together. So here, okay, you can start by adding a date. Okay, so let's try a simple one first lah. Okay, let's just start. Width is equal, okay, float, input, enter, width. Okay, finish one line. Okay, then we go to another line, length is equal, float, input, enter, length, okay. Okay, and then you calculate area is equal width times length. Okay, so and then you have print. Okay, so area is area. Okay, so let's run the code. What you can see here, enter width is 5, enter length is 2, and then you got the area is 10. So you can see that here we have entered 5, 2, area is 10. So there is a variable here that shows the result. Okay, in case you want to know step by step what happened, let's take a look at this part. Okay, so you can use debug current script. So here you can see that, okay, the first one, okay, when it goes to the first line, it will enter, it will execute this command, the first line, which is it asks you for the value of width. So I put 5. And then it goes to length. It asks me, okay, what is the value of length? Okay, then I put 2. So, and then it goes to the area. Area is equal width plus, times length. So when I did width and length here, you see that the value is stored in this variable. Okay, and then we go to the next one, area. You can see the area is inserted here, it's 10. Okay, and then when we go to at the fourth command, okay, what happened is that you can see that the result is displayed here and the program finish. Okay, please try and do it now. Okay, you guys okay? Okay, so in case we have any no problem, then let's continue to the next step. Okay, so when we talk about steps, okay, when we want to do in the Python code in Tony, okay, so basically we cannot see the process on computer screen, okay, because basically the process occur in the computer memory and CPU, the brain of the computer. So we can only see the variables name and values that have been executed from Tony. So you can see in the variable area, and the program execution usually ended when there is no more code after the last line. Okay, if ended prior to the last line means that there's something wrong with your code that need to be fixed. Okay, so to summarize, okay, this section, okay, this chapter. So computer program, so they contain codes of instruction, okay, telling computer what to do. So the instruction basically are written by you as the programmer or a person writing the computer codes. So the written instruction codes are stored in the files computer system, and it is executed when you open or execute the program in computer system. So this is basically to summarize the chapter 1. So next, I'll go directly to the chapter 2. Okay. So the general concept in programming. Okay, how to write script to solve a problem. So you do the step by step in flowchart and the pseudocode. So the step must be based on the logic to solve the problem, and you must have a logical for the logic to have to occur. You need to make sure that you have the syntax and the syntax logic and the semantic logic. So what are the syntax and what are the semantic? So syntax is basically more like grammar. Okay, it's a formal rules. Okay, how a valid instruction are written in a programming language. Okay, basically, if you want to do print, you need to have the bracket and the apostrophe there. And semantic is set of rules that determine the instruction meaning in a programming language. So for this one, it's more like your comprehension in solving the problem. Like for example, okay, to calculate area, you need to have the width and length value. You cannot write the area calculation before having the values. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, uh, identifiers. Okay, what is basically identifiers? Okay, let's take a look at your code that you have written before. Okay, so here we have a line of codes. Okay, so what are, okay, let's go towards first the semantic and the syntax logic first. Okay, what does it mean by syntax logic? So syntax logic is basically the format. So it means that where do you put the bracket, where do you put the command? Okay, as you can see here, we have colors. Okay, at the top here, colors. Okay, we should include another color at the back. Okay, so this one, a gray. Okay, so here you can see that we have a few colors. We have gray, we have black, we have purple, we have green. So what does this means? Okay, okay, so the colors, okay, they represent certain functions of the codes that you are using there. Okay, so for example, if you want to write notes in your codes, okay, like you write notes in anything lah, so you can put in hashtag here. Hashtag, okay, like for example, this exercise week 1, chapter 1. So you put hashtag exercise chapter 1. And this is also a good practice if you want to use hashtag to include notes for of your pseudocode. So like for example here, you put in user key and user enter with. Okay, down here you put in notes user enter length. Okay, and then here you put notes computer calculate area from width. Okay, you put area equal width times length. Okay, and then at the bottom computer display area result. Okay, so I usually recommend the students, okay, you students to use the notes to write the pseudocode, okay, next to the codes. Okay, any code, okay, for any notes, if you write the same line as the code, you need to go on the right side. It cannot go on the left. It must be in the right side. So usually we put it in the same, same line lah. So like this, I put space, 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 like this. Okay, usually I used to do it like this. I use it in C, but is it possible for all other codes? Okay, let's see. 5 to 10. Okay, no problem. So you can have, okay, notes like this. Okay, this usually I tend to make it my pseudocode, the gray one. And the left side, you have black, purple, and green. So the green is basically things that will be displayed in the shell. Okay, and the purple one is what we call a standard identifier. Okay, standard identifier. So the standard identifier is a command that understandable by the computer. Means that the computer will understand it as an instruction from you for them to do something. Okay, so input means that you need to the computer know that he need to ask the user about what the programmer intend it to do. Okay, float means to convert the data type that has been entered by the user into a floating point data. Okay, so we have a multiple data types for programs. Like for example, you have integer, you have floating, you have character. So integer usually a real number. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, float is for floating point number like 1.1, 2.1, 3.1, 4.1. Okay, okay, 5.5, 6.6. And then we have characters is for alphabets, okay, symbols. Usually for programming, okay, we use alphabets and we don't use symbols. Okay, and then here we have that we have these two standard and user defined identifiers. Okay, for standard identifiers, this is what the computer recognize as command. Okay, the first one we have print, okay, which is the one that I show you in the purple. We might have if, else, continue, true, false, while, break. Okay, these are all keywords need to create a specific function or instruction. Okay, so you need to remember when you use this, you cannot create a variable the same name as what has been used as an instruction in the Python. Okay, so next one is user defined. This is where in Tony is represented by black. Okay, so we have here, you can define, like for example, anything that you want to understand, you want to use as the program. So like this one, width, length, area, first name, last name. So the rules is that when you create a variable, the variables can be a combination of letters in lowercase or uppercase or digits or an underscore. Other than that, not usable. Like for example, exclamation mark or question mark, you cannot use them. So names, okay, they must start with alphabet. They cannot start with numbers. Okay, even though you can use number inside it, it cannot start with numbers. And then you cannot choose a Python keyword, and you cannot use any special symbols. And you must be meaningful. Means that when you see it, you understand immediately what the variable is. So example for Tony here, you don't want to use width, length, and area. You want to use panjang. Okay, this is width. No, this is lebar. Sorry, lebar is width in Malay. Okay, panjang. Okay, area is luas. Okay, so here you change lebar times luas. Lebar times panjang. Okay, okay, so you can change it. Okay, so here is luas. So it's still usable when you run it. Okay, or even this one, because I didn't change things text to display, so I think I should change the text to display here. Lebar, panjang. Okay, so it still works as usual. Yes, anything you want to ask?
Doktor,
Yeah.
saya nak tanya kalau caps lock dengan tak caps lock ada efek ke?
Ada effects. Okay, like for example, okay. Saya tunjuk Okay, so
Okay.
lebar 5. Okay, send 2. So you get panjang is not defined. See, this is what Haziq is asking right now. What's the matter? Because of caps lock.
Caps lock.
Yes, I want to. I just now, by the time Haziq asked, I just want to demonstrate to you about this panjang and this panjang. It count as different. Okay, with caps lock and without caps lock is count as different. So you need to make sure that if you use capital letter, you need to use the same capital letter. Okay, again, so 5 times 2. Okay, area also mistake. This is because caps lock. So I need to use luas. Okay. So 5 times 2, which is 10. Okay, so you can see here, okay, it's a very case sensitive here. Okay, so make sure that you write your variable properly. So usually when you write a long variables, you tend to make mistake a lot. So sometimes I like to make it like, for example, width become W, panjang length become L, luas is area A. Okay, so this one is width times L. Okay, and then you have area A. So when you run them, okay, same thing, still runnable. 5, 2, equal 10. So you can see the variables here. Variables also changing here. So this represent the new variable's name. Okay. So you can change it according to your preference. As long as you can understand. Usually when we write a full word for it, is so that when we show to other people, okay, they can understand it as well. Okay. So any other question for now? Any other question?
No, Doktor.
Okay. Good. Okay, let's proceed. Okay, so next is where we have arithmetic operators. Okay, so when you create a program, of course, your program usually we use them to calculate something. So that's why we name the computer compute. So it means that is for calculate. Okay, so if you see in Japanese, or if I was in Japan, okay, they call the computer as keisanki. Keisang means calculate. Key is device. So this is keisanki, calculating device. So usually when we create a program, most of them is where we have operators for calculation. So the main operators for calculation, you can see here, plus, minus, multiply, divide, modulus, floor division, and exponent. Okay. So for exponent means that if you put x exponent y means the x power to y. Okay, x power to y means the x power 2, x power 3. Okay, x power 2. If x is 2, power of 2 means it is 4. Okay, and then you have floor division, modulus, and divide. The 3 times of divide here. Can anybody differentiate for me? What does modulus and floor division do different than divide? Anybody can explain to me now? Ada idea? Anybody can explain to me? Give me an example. Sir, example. Okay, for divide, 5 divide 2, answer is what? Okay, for modulus, 5 modulus 2, answer is what? Okay, for floor division, 5 divide floor, 5 floor division 2 is equal what? Okay, give me an example. Anybody can give me an example here? Anybody? I'm trying to call names lah. Anyone? Anybody can explain to me what does those divide, modulus, and floor division mean? So I'm trying to understand. What is it? What is it? Okay, can anybody explain to me? Haziq, do you know?
Maybe the percentage of remainder X or Y.
We call modulus there. Not percentage. Okay, the symbol is percent, but it's called modulus. Okay, it's not percentage. Okay, anybody else can suggest me anything? Okay, so nobody. Okay, let's write a simple code here. I want to delete this code first. So we have A equal float input enter A. Okay, I have this code here, and then we do another one for B. A, and then we have B, and then we have, okay, we put 3 result. A, okay, answer C lah. C is equal A divide B. C equal A modulus B. No, C1, C2, and we have C3. 3 is equal A floor division B. Okay, let's print. Okay, first one, C1. C1. Okay, let's do again with C2 and C3. So C2, C3. Okay, so let's run the code. Okay, what kind of codes that values that I want to enter? Let's put it 5. B is 2. Okay, what does this mean? Can anybody explain to me? C1 is 2.5, C2 is 1, C3 is 2. Okay, can anybody explain what happened here? So let's just let me continue first lah. Okay, so basically C1 division here is a normal division. Okay, so that's why 2.5. Okay, C2 here modulus is that, okay, when you calculate 5 divided by 2, you will get 2 with remainder 1. Correct or not? Correct or not? You get 2 with remainder 1. How? Of course, 5 you cannot divide directly for 2. You will get 2 remainder 1. So when you divide 5 divided by 2, the remainder is the result of modulus, okay, which is 1. Okay, for floor division is the result of the front one. So means that 5 divided by 2, the answer is 2 remainder 1. This is 2, C3 is the 2, and 1 is the remainder. Okay, so this is the difference between all those 3. So remainder is important. For example, if you want to calculate whether certain numbers is even or odd. Okay, when you want to know whether even or odd, we use modulus. Surprisingly, you will need to use modulus a lot. Okay, later on when you do the coding. Okay, especially like for example, you write a code, want to test whether the IC number belong to a girl or a boy. Okay, so you see that at the back whether it's even or odd. Okay, and you want to use modulus. So if the modulus is 1, the result is 1, means that is an odd number, and if the result is 0, is an even number. Okay, so this is where we have the benefit of modulus here. So when you look into those things, okay, let's analyze a program. Okay, here I have a code here, and this code you have value 1, value 2, eval input the first value, okay, second input the second value, and please try to do it in your own Tony and try to run this one. Okay, so you have eval is like float, but it much more general. It can be any data type as long as Python decide that it is suitable for your code. Okay, so I like to use it precisely float so that I will not get confused later on. But you can use eval. You don't want to think about what kind of data is it. Okay, you can use eval later on. So, okay, please write this inside your own Tony and test whether you can get the same result or not. So you can share your screen with me in case you have any other question, any question. Okay, please start and do it now. I'll give you 10 minutes.
Doktor,
Yeah.
Doktor, float dengan eval tu memang kena tulis kalau kita buat.
Kalau you tak tulis, you tak boleh tambah sebab dia ingat itu sebagai simbol.
Oh.
So eval ni dia akan determine whether it's an integer, is it symbol or is a float. So kalau you nak prefer pakai floating point number, you can use float. Kalau you nak pakai integer, you can use integer, int. Okay.
Okay, baik Doktor, terima kasih.
Sama. Okay, boleh dapat?
Dapat.
Boleh Doktor?
Tak boleh?
Boleh.
Boleh. Okay, good. So go next. Okay. This one is the next one, a little bit more difficult one. Okay. Find a volume of a cylinder.
Sir,
Yeah.
setiap kali nak buat benda tu kita kena buat new
Nak buat new pun boleh. Awak padam, awak tukar ke, tak kisahlah.
Oh, okay.
Sir,
Yeah.
may I ask yang volume mesti satu huruf besar, satu huruf kecil. Yang print tu volume.
Yang print ni, okay, this volume, okay, yang this one doesn't count as variable. So because it's green color, green color is for display only, doesn't count as variable. So this one huruf besar tak apa. Okay, it doesn't recognize as variable. But however, this one, because it's black color, it recognizes as variable. So it must be huruf kecil lah. So because this one is same as this one. Okay, same thing, this one and this one. So you need to make sure that this one relate to this. Okay.
Kalau dua-dua pakai huruf kecil pun tak apa kan?
Tak apa. So just as long as this one and this one is the same size lah. Kalau yang ni huruf besar, yang ni huruf besar. Okay, kalau yang ni huruf besar, you nak yang ni huruf kecil, huruf besar, doesn't matter, dia tak kacau yang lain. Okay, doesn't interfere with others.
Okay, thank you. So,
Yep.
yang itu radius start dengan radius tak boleh terus guna square ke?
Boleh, you can guna square.
Macam mana guna?
Tetapi bila you nak guna square, okay, like this one, okay, you cannot use it macam ni tau. Okay, let's go for example. Okay, I have a, let's just write lah. Okay, radius equal 10. Okay, use it immediately lah. Height equal 15. Pi equal 3.142. Okay, so if you want to use volume, is equal pi times height times radius times radius. Okay, you cannot do it like this now. Because why? Okay, pi dia akan times dengan height first, and then the time radius first, and then dia akan power of means like this. Sorry, power radius lah. Power of 2. And then after the times baru dia power of 2. So this one is wrong lah. Okay, and then usually we do it like this. Okay, radius power of 2. You can do it like this. Okay, so you get the result. Like for example, print. Okay. Okay, let's see if I run it. Okay, 4713 here. So if I put it, Okay, I remove this one. Sama juga. I think it's fine lah kot. Usually just to be safe lah. Kadang-kadang coincidence ya. Wait. I think it's okay. It's okay. I think just to be safe lah. I usually put this one. Okay, I usually put this one. So when you run it here, okay, you can get the result lah. It's the same thing. Okay, if you do it times radius. Okay, same. Supposedly you get the same result. Okay. So there is one last questions lah. Okay. 45.8 100. Okay, so this one. You will get it 66501019439199999. Okay. How do you simplify the floating point? I don't want up until how many here? 10. I want only 2. How do I simplify it into 2? Okay, so if you want to simplify it into 2, okay, this volume here, okay, you can just put in round, okay, 2. Okay, so means that it round the volume information, the volume data to 2 floating point, 2 decimal point only. So you can see here, it round up here. Okay, so this is one way for you to remember. Okay, you guys got this one?
Doctor,
Yeah.
the one you went just now doesn't need able input yang radius.
Okay, so this one, because I don't ask the user, I put in directly. You see? The code doesn't ask the user.
Oh.
The code doesn't ask the user. So if you want to put, you ask the user, eval, okay, input, enter, radius. Okay, and then down there, you can put in eval, input, enter, height. Okay. So same thing, but only this time, oops, what's wrong? Oh, forgot one bracket. Okay, it's the same thing, only this time it asks me. So I have to put in 45.8 and down here 100.9. Okay, so I get the same result. Okay, do you understand?
Both is the same, Doctor?
Both are the same, but depending on the algorithm. If the question, okay, if the problem require the user to key in, okay, you have to put in enter lah. So this is usually when create program, okay, when you run program, you don't want to mess with the code already. You don't want to mess with the code. So we ask the user, in case they want to change or anything, he can just change it when he run the programs. If you change here, you change it in the source code. Okay, so there is a possibility, a lot of problem there lah when you change in the source code lah later on. So it's better if you want things that are the user of your program to use it easily, better ask the user lah. Instead need to change in the code. Okay.
Okay, get it. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, but as for troubleshoot lah kan, for in case you want to find out where is the problem in my code, especially when you are using a very sophisticated equation there. Okay, to test the equation whether it's correct or wrong, you can put it directly first, and at the end you change the direct insert here like this pi. Okay, you want to change into anything else, you can just put eval input later on after you finish, confirm that your equation is properly written. Okay, so do you have any other question?
Sir.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, for the space and the enter, is it will affect the output?
Okay, for space in front of the code like this one, okay, it will affect. Okay, in front of code like this one, it will be affect. But for space at the back, no, it will not affect. Okay, the code. Space at the back, it will not affect the code. However, space at the top and bottom also will not affect the code. Okay, so here, like for example, I run this one, okay, without the space, also fine. Okay, nothing happened. Okay, so if I put it something like this, I think something might be wrong. Okay, now this is something happening. So this is Python specific. This is what you call indent sensitive. So it means that you need to make sure that there are no indentation before the code. Okay, Python is really sensitive out of that. This is one of the annoying things that I learned when I start programming Python lah. Okay, so make sure in the front of your codes nothing, but at the back or at the bottom or top you can write anything. So I will suggest that you put the pseudocode at the right side. Okay, this one, for example, ask the user radius, and then you have this one, ask the user height. Okay, so this one insert by. Okay, this one. Okay, calculate volume. And this one, okay, display volume. Okay, so if you put a pseudocode at the right side, you will know what is this line is about. Okay, so make sure you use the notes properly. Okay, sometimes, okay, I have students, okay, your seniors lah, they prefer to do it like this. They much more advanced. Here, calculate cylinder, for example. Okay. Okay, then they put it another hashtag here. So then at the bottom he put another one. Okay. Okay, and calculate. Okay, and then when I was in Japan, they like to make emoji here. Like this. So this is common thing lah. So you can make it much more fun lah. So somehow, okay, we say that, for example, in the code, okay, you haven't done, like for example, you haven't finished it, you put note, not finished. Okay, so if you are in a group work, like for example, done by apa Hakim, okay, so you just insert something like this lah, in your codes. Okay, so this make us lecturers easier to mark your codes, okay, to check your code, something like that. Okay, so this is a very good practice lah if you want to do in your codes later on. Okay, do you have any question for this one? No. No question. Okay, we proceed. Okay, so for extra tutorial, you want to understand anything of a reference, okay, you can open this one, Programmies, okay. So you can, here you have a lot of tutorials, exercise, something like that. And we also have, like for example, Python, okay, course here from tutorials point. And then we have School, okay, here from tutorial point as well. Okay, so I think that's all for today. Okay, do you have any other question? Okay, so keep calm and try coding. You need a lot of practice. Okay, don't be lazy. Lazy is good in a certain way, like simplifying your codes. Other than that, okay, please try and do the codes by yourself. Okay, do you have any other question?
Sir, I want to ask whether
Okay.
this computer programming got final exam?
I'm not sure. I think we have final exam. Okay, last semester they do final assessment. I'm not sure this semester. I will confirm back to you. I will mention it later lah. Why do you, is it need to confirm soon?
No, I think before this I saw in the course catalog there is no written, no final exam. But recently I see the course catalog, they said yes.
Maybe because there's a little bit change this semester. Got a lot of issues lah, because especially last semester they want to reduce the problems regarding making final exam, because student had problem coming to the university, right? So they make it final assessment. Okay. So any other thing you want to ask?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. So before we finish, okay, I want to confirm your attendance first. Okay.
Sir.
Yep.
Sir, there's something at the chat box.
Okay, something at the chat box. Okay. Doctor, may I know what is the difference between float and eval? Okay. Okay, so one good question, float and eval. Okay, so let's see at my example here. Okay, you have enter radius here. Okay, let's make it float. Okay. Okay, so here, I run the codes. Okay, I put in 3.56656. Okay. And then I put 4.3364. Okay. So you get the answer here. What happened if I use other than float. Like for example, integer. Okay, so integer supposedly is a real number. Okay, so when I run it for 3 point something something something, okay, it doesn't count. You cannot put 3.456 because it's an integer. Integer can only count as a real number. Like for example, 34, okay, or 56. Okay, you get the result here. Okay, so the problem with float and integer is that, okay, you need to define them properly. Integer, float, character. Okay, so if you use eval, okay, Python will select the best data type for your problem according to your code. So you will not need to worry whether it's an integer or float. Okay, so you can just use eval. So make life easier actually. Okay, okay, Man, Jupo. Understand?
Yeah, thank you, Doctor.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay, thank you very much for coming. So please, okay, make sure that you come every week. Okay, for this week lab session on Thursday, okay, we will have a self-learning lab. I will provide a lab sheet where you have to create and submit them in Kalam. Okay, so please refer to the content that I provided in YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, so please refer to those channel and submit them back, okay, to me. And once you submit them, okay, I will count it as attending the class lah. It's not that difficult. It's almost the same as what we did just now. Okay, it's just for confirmation that you understand, you try yourself, and you submit it again. Okay, so it will take around less than 1 hour for you to do lah during your lab session, your lab time. Okay, so make sure that you submit them because it's count as attended. Fail to submit, doesn't count as attend, cannot take final exam. Okay, you need to remind yourself that. Okay, so that's all for today. I'll see you guys next week. See you later. Bye-bye, inshallah. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank
Doctor.
you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Stay safe, Doctor.
Okay.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you. Welcome.